So, somewhere along the line, they said to me, let conscience be your guide. But nobody warned me it would sound like a courtroom with no judge and two lawyers who hate each other. I wake up every day with a winged whisperer on one shoulder and a horned heckler on the other, both convinced they're the voice of reason. Same mouth, different motives. On my left shoulder, the virtues: patience clearing its throat politely, kindness holding doors too long, temperance sipping water like it's a moral statement, humility pretending it's not impressive, faith saying, trust me, without showing any credentials. On my right, the sins: lust licking its lips like punctuation points, greed doing math I didn't ask for, pride fixing my posture for the imaginary cameras, envy scrolling other people's lives like a comparison catalog, wrath stretching, cracking knuckles asking who are we mad at today, sloth suggesting a nap as a lifestyle choice, gluttony calling that self-care. They don't shout. That's the trick. They negotiate. They speak to me in my own voice. The angel says, take the high road. The devil says, high road will get you nowhere. Angel says, forgive. The devil says, remember everything and keep receipts. How else will they learn the lesson? The angel says, wait. The devil says, you've waited long enough missing out on your own life. The angel talks in principles, while the devil speaks in punchlines. Guess which one gets quoted more? They both sound like me. They speak to me in my own voice. That's the uncomfortable part. The devil doesn't tempt me with evil. That's amateur hour. He tempts me with justifications, rationalizations. You deserve it. They'd do the same. No one will know. It's not that bad. Sin isn't loud. It's logical. Virtue, on the other hand, has terrible marketing. It whispers, this will cost you something, dear. This won't feel fair. You may never get credit. And I'm standing there, walking balance sheet of morality, trying to calculate the return on my integrity. The dark joke of it all: the angel wants you to be good, and the devil just wants you to be comfortable. And comfort is seductive. It dresses up like relief, smells like validation, and lies like a friend who knows all your weak spots. Every little decision can become a tug of war between who you are and who you could excuse yourself into becoming. The seven virtues say, be better, while the seven deadly sins say, be real. And both accuse the other of being dishonest about it. Pride says, never apologize. Humility says, say it first. Greed says, take more. Generosity says, leave enough. Lust says, feel everything. Temperance says, feel what won't hollow you out later. Wrath wants justice now. Patience wants peace, eventually. Envy compares, while kindness reframes. Sloth says, tomorrow. Diligence says, start, messy. And here I am in the middle, trying not to tear myself in half. Let's be honest. Sometimes the devil wins because he makes better arguments when you're tired, hungry, angry, lonely. Sometimes the angel loses because doing the right thing feels like doing nothing while everyone else is just sprinting past you. And sometimes you choose wrong, knowing it's wrong, just to see if guilt still works. It usually does. They never tell you that conscience isn't a compass, it's a conversation. A messy, looping late-night debate where neither side fully shuts up, and the verdict changes depending on your hunger, heartbreak, and lack of sleep. Here's the revelation that nobody ever sells. Good and evil don't live on your shoulders. They live in your patterns. What you repeat becomes you. What you excuse becomes permanent. What you resist, though, reshapes you. The angel doesn't need to win every argument, just the important ones. The devil doesn't need to destroy you, just distract you long enough to make you forget who you were trying to be. So I don't silence either voice anymore. I listen, I weigh, I choose slower. Not perfect, not pure, just aware. Because conscience isn't about being spotless. It's about being honest when nobody's grading the test. Let your conscience be your guide, they said. They just forgot to mention it doesn't give you any directions. All it does is ask questions, really hard ones. Like, who do you want to be when no one's watching? What can you live with tomorrow morning? Which voice sounds like courage and which sounds like convenience? The angel and the devil are definitely still arguing, and that's fine, because they told me to let conscience be my guide. They just forgot to mention it would sound like some street debate between saints with public relations problems and sinners with much better slogans. 2 shoulders, 1 spine, no referee. Just me, standing in the middle of some moral mosh pit while the world tries to sell me shortcuts and call them wisdom. Pride versus humility. Pride says never bend, never bow, never apologize. Pride straightens my posture for the cameras that aren't even rolling and the mistakes that volume for value somehow. While humility whispers, you might be wrong, which is the most offensive sentence in a world built on certainty. Because pride wants the podium. Humility just wants the truth. And society rewards confidence even when it's hollow and calls humility weakness unless it's performative. So we learn to bow just enough to look noble without actually changing. Greed says, take more. You might need that later. Greed wears spreadsheets like scripture, measures humans in margins, and calls hoarding being prepared. Generosity asks, how much is enough? A question that terrifies the markets. Greed says, it's just business. Generosity says, it's still people. And the world nods at greed as long as it dresses well and donates occasionally for tax purposes. Lust says, feel everything, now, harder, more. It confuses hunger with love and chemistry with commitment, intensity with intimacy, while temperance says, not everything that feels good is good for you. Which sounds boring until you're cleaning up after your desire forgot your name. The world markets lust as freedom and restraint as repression, then wonders why everyone feels empty after getting exactly what they wanted. Envy says, why them? Why not you? It scrolls silently, counts quietly, and corrodes joy without leaving any fingerprints. Kindness says, their win isn't your loss. Which is radical in a culture that treats life like a leaderboard competition. Envy thrives on comparison. Kindness dies there. So we clap for others while secretly measuring ourselves against their highlight reel, and then wonder why the applause feels heavy. Wrath says, say it, send it, burn it down. Wrath loves immediacy, impulse. It mistakes reaction for righteousness and volume for virtue. While patience says, pause. 1 syllable. Infinite resistance. Wrath trends. Patience ages well. The world rewards outrage because it's clickable, shareable, monetizable. Patience doesn't go viral. It just saves lives quietly in the background. Sloth says, we'll deal with that tomorrow. Not laziness, it's avoidance with better branding. Sloth disguises fear as fatigue and calls rest, when really it's just surrender. Diligence says start messy. No applause, no guarantees, just motion. The world glorifies hustle and shames rest, but secretly punishes those who actually persist. Because diligence exposes how much potential was optional. Gluttony says more food, more noise, more opinions, more money, more everything, except fulfillment. While temperance says, enough. The most countercultural word in any language. We consume to fill voids we refuse to name, and then blame the emptiness for not leaving fast enough. Here's the hypocrisy in that. The world preaches virtue but profits from vice, sells discipline in podcasts, desire in ads, and outrage as entertainment. Tells you to be yourself until yourself becomes inconvenient. Tells you to stand for something until it offends someone. So conscience doesn't sound holy, it sounds conflicted. Because both voices know my weakness. They speak to me in my own name. The devil doesn't say, be evil. He says, be realistic. The angel doesn't say, be perfect. She says, be accountable. And accountability hurts worse than temptation ever did. So the truth is, the truth they don't put on the posters anyway. Virtue is inconvenient. Sin is efficient. Virtue builds slowly, fails publicly, wins quietly. Sin pays fast, charges interest, and never forgets your address. Let your conscience be your guide? Fine. Okay, but understand, it won't point north. It will point inward. It will ask, who are you when no one benefits? Who are you when no one's watching? Who are you when choosing right means choosing lonely and lost? And every day, every small decision, every almost nobody notices moment, you cast a vote, not for heaven or hell, but for habit, for purpose. The angel and the devil are still arguing, and like I said, it's good, because it means I'm awake. Just remember that voice I follow. Most won't sound dramatic. It'll sound familiar. Will speak to you in your own voice. Just choose carefully. I think that's what conscience was really trying to tell me all along. God gave me a gift called free will. What I do with it beyond that is up to me. And perhaps that is the conscience that should be my guide.